Yeah. My name's Branden. I'm a world traveler, foodie, and YouTuber. Together, you and I will find the best travel hacks, tips, and best places to explore. Join me as we find new adventures together, live only on IBM.tv. Well, hello, IBM. This is my first official day here, Travel with Branden, on Travel Tuesdays. My name is Branden Stewart, and if you haven't guessed already, today we're talking about travel. We're talking about travel. We're going to talk about travel tips, some travel hacks, some creative ways to make sure you have the vacation you can have, the best solo trip you can have every single time. This is, of course, stream, so if you want to interact, hop on over to the IBM TV Facebook page. You can leave your comment there in the stream. It'll pop up here, and I can answer it live on the air, so we can have a little bit of interaction there that way too. This is the first episode of Travel with Branden on Travel Tuesdays here on IBM TV, so your feedback is welcome. Please let me know how the show looks, how the show's, what I can do better. You can tweet at me at Branden Scott and let me know what you think. Show, let me know what I can do better. So today, our first episode, we're going to tackle a big topic. Talk about flights is the first big barrier many people encounter. They're starting to plan their travel. That's the deal. Flights are expensive, especially in the United States. We're a very big insulated country. So it's tough to find a flight. They can be very expensive. And they can be very expensive just within the US. So let's play a little game. How much do you think a flight to, say, London would cost? Take a guess. I bet you it's a lot less than you think. Most people will automatically guess $1,000. I promise you can find some deals a lot cheaper than that. So let's talk deals, huh? I'm going to step you through in the next hour here the tools that I use when I'm planning travel. I'm going to give you one of my little secrets, my dirty secrets that the airlines don't want you to know so that you can get a good deal every time. The first tool I'm going to tell you about needs a little bit of explanation before I. The one thing I always tell people when they want to travel and they want to do it affordably is it's one simple word: ability. It's super important to be flexible. And I could pretty much end the show right there. That could be months and months and months and months of me talking. Be flexible, and you're going to have a great trip and a very, very affordable trip at the same time. So let's talk about flexibility. This is the first tool I want to show you. It is called Skyscanner. There are tons and tons and tons of websites that will give you cheap deals to find flights. This is one of my favorites. So I'm going to show you why. This website, it's not sponsored or anything. There's a couple other sites as well that I'll recommend. You can read about some of them on my website, which is the.com. But the great thing about Skyscanner is it gives you the ability to plan a trip to anywhere. So I'm going to put in my home airport. In this case, for me, Tampa's my closest airport. I don't actually live in Tampa. Everywhere. And then, of course, you can pick your dates. Maybe specific vacation planned, and maybe not. This key of flexibility comes in. So just for we're going to select whole month and the cheapest month, which is going to show us the cheapest month of the year to go from Tampa to where in the world. It's kind of like throwing a dart at a map. It's a little fun inspiration game. So let's search flights. Let's see what comes up. So, of course, United States is going to be at the top there. $30. $30 for a flight in the U.S. I can go to Cleveland. There we go. I can go to the Mistake on the Lake. I'm originally from Cleveland area. Say that. Puerto Rico, we got Canada, Virgin Islands, Mexico, Colombia for $188. Isn't that crazy? 100. I've been to Bogota. It is lovely, totally worth going. Medellin's also beautiful. $188, can't beat that. So this is a tool that I use to start my planning. When I say start my planning, I mean by this point I haven't usually planned anything. I've usually not even started to think about my destinations. So I can scroll through here. I can look up. I can find some ideas. We could go to Guatemala for less than $300, Ecuador for less than $300, Peru. Love to see Machu Picchu. Lima, less than $300. Look at that. Round trip flight. We're looking at Spain. I have my work visa actually for Spain through September. I think maybe it's time to take a trip to Spain. Barcelona is one of my favorite cities in Spain. Sevilla is also a great city. All for less than $300, about $400. So here on Skyscanner, there's a few other options as well for these flight planning apps. And what I really want to point out here is flexibility is important. So this is the place I'm going before I even plan my trip. So I'm a flight to somewhere. Most people go about this the opposite way. Most people will go about this by destination that they will go to, and then finding flights to that destination for their dates that they want to go. To do this opposite, best to do this the other way around. Don't pick a destination. Think about places you could go, and then schedule your vacation and your destination around the price. It's a great way to get a cheap shot. Now, there is one kind of trick here. You're not going to necessarily know about every destination around the world scrolling through something like Skyscanner or one of the other flexible search engines. Another great engine is Momondo. Monondo. Great search, very similar to Skyscanner. But this is something where if you pick your city, maybe you find, I to a certain city for $300. Pick your city, then look at the dates that trip will be. Maybe it's in a month, maybe it's in 6 months, maybe it's in a year. Yeah, maybe that works out, maybe you pick another. But once you've picked your city and you have a good of your dates, let's go ahead and do a quick search, because the last thing you want to do is accidentally got in the middle of monsoon season, or in a very, very cold location winter, unless maybe you're a skier. So a quick Google search can save you some of that hassle. Most of these flights are going to be cheap right before and right after the peak tourist season of these cities. It means it won't be super crazy busy, but it'll still be decent weather and decent time of year. So these sites allow you to find a destination that's going to work for you for your city. So looking at something like Skyscanner, let me pull that back up here. How do I pull that back? Oh, there we go. Share screen. See, I told you first live stream up here. So let's play this by ear. Let's say I'm gonna book I don't know really I want to go. I know I want to go somewhere warm, and I want to do it on a budget. Well, I know and I've been to Colombia. I've been to 3 different cities. So let's say I want to go to Bogota. Here's my Bogota flights. Now, of course, right now things are a little different because we have coronavirus pandemic has altered some travel. Not in a lot of countries right now as Americans, but for the sake of the exercise, let's play around. So October of 2020, not too far away, I could take a flight for $107 on a Wednesday all the way to Bogota. It's going to be nice. It's going to be very temperate there. You're near the equator, very comfortable weather in October, and $107. You can't beat that, right? So that's less than a day at Disneyland. I mean, that's super cheap. So we book our place, we book our flight, $100, we're going to Bogota. Hold your horses. There's one other really important trick that I'm going to share with you in the second half of this show. But first, let's do our due diligence. So we've gotten our prices here for Bogota, $107. Oh, look, there's a 95 down here on the 13th. Look at that. The 13th. Now, here we get into some fun drama. So this is going to show me a couple of different options for different flights. I can go all the way up to maybe some more pricey flights, maybe some flights on some different airlines. We can find a wide variety of flights, but let's take a look at this. So we're flying on Spirit Airlines with a combination of JetBlue and Avianca and Spirit Airlines. So we're flying on almost 3 different airlines here, right? They're going to take us at a couple different stops. This flight was 2 layovers. Where are we going? We're going to connect it in the L. We're going to have a very long wait and another very long wait. So 2 long layovers. So let's play a game now where we can avoid some of these problems. So the next trick here is going to be, before you book that flight, look at a couple of other sources. Let's look at a couple of other websites. Make sure we're finding a good deal where we've our city, we know where we're going, we know kind of when we're going and what it'll be like that time of year. But now we want to kind of Google the area, find some maybe Airbnbs or hotels. Make sure you're not spending an arm and a leg. We haven't booked the flight yet, but we've found a flight and a destination we think are going to work. Let's take a quick look at lodging. This is a key point. It will mess up so many travelers, even seasoned travelers. They'll see a budget airline and because we Americans are so used to high airline ticket prices, jump on it without even doing our research. And I'm not saying to read a whole scientific journal, but a quick Google search for some Airbnbs and some hotels in the area will go a long way. That's why I can get a flight from where I'm at to most places in the Caribbean for $50, $100, maybe in the busy season. Not a very expensive flight. But if I don't really carefully look at where I would be going, I could end up in an incredibly expensive Bahamas island where lodging is going to be easily $1,000 for a couple of days. So a quick on lodging will save you some. So let's kind of pause and review a little bit where we're at. We've our flights options. We've found a city that sounds interesting. Dates are gonna work, and lodging isn't too expensive in that nation. Because we were flexible, we didn't pick destination first. Instead, we let the prices dictate where we would go. We've now got a good idea of what we're going to spend, right? We know more or less how much it's going to cost to get there. And from looking at our hotels and Airbnbs, we have an idea of how much it'll cost to stay there. There's one element here that we're going to touch on after the break. But in the immediate, we've got a pretty good idea, right? We know where we're going to go and what flight's going to be. Usually tell people when you're at this stage, you've kind of found a place you want to go, you found flights that make sense, give it about a week, and then go back and look again. But this time, when you look again, on your web browser, you're doing a little different. We're going to pull up an incognito window. If Chrome, we're going to pull up an in private window for, I think, Internet Explorer is in private. Who uses Internet Explorer anymore? But in private window, any private browsing window, pull that up first. And then we'll go to Skyscanner or to Momondo or our favorite flight search engine. And the reason we're doing this is very, very simple. Third-party cookies, not the kind Cookie Monster eats, but the kind of cookies that different companies will install on your computer and kind of track your activity, they're going to jack up your prices. They're going to know, boy, this guy's looking at flights to Bogota, and he's looked twice now, and then he comes back later and he's looked again, and the prices are going to creep up and creep up. So you go, I better get it now before they go up any further. Because the site is tracked many times you come back and how many times you do that search and how many times you make that visit. So, very, 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 very easy way to save money. The easiest thing you can do, I mean, the easiest, is do that first search fine, but do the second search in an in private or incognito window. I just saved you like $100. You can actually send me a check in the mail if you want. Yeah, that'd be great. No, I'm just kidding. You save money right there. Very, very easy trick. Save you a little bit of cash. And you haven't done anything. You haven't had to get up off of your chair yet. But by searching in your in private or incognito window, you've prevented some of those third-party trackers from following you. So they don't know that you're really interested in that flight to Bogota or to Paris, wherever it is. They don't know. It's your first time looking at the flight every time. And you just save some money right there. So now let's kind of recap where we're at. We found a place we think we want to go. We have some dates that we have an affordable flight for us to go there. We've looked around at our Airbnbs, our hotels. We have a good idea what the price is going to be for that. And then we go back and we search again. We look a couple times. We on a couple other websites, all in our in private or incognito window. And now we've got a trip kind of lining up. We're out. Okay, here we go. This is the basis of planning a trip. This is the first couple of steps. So as we go on through the season, I guess, of Travel with Branden on Travel Tuesdays, we're going to break down a little bit more specifically how to pick a city, how to pick a country, break down how to do some languages. We're going to break down how to pack for your flight. We're going to break down how to save you money at the airport. We're going to break down how to find real Airbnb deals. We're going to break down how to find really great hotel deals. We're going to break down reward systems. And we're really going to get into it. But this is our first kind of foray into the field. We've got a basic trip thought through. Haven't booked anything, but we've got it thought out. We've got our city, where we want to go. We've got our flight days, more or less. And we've got a general idea of what it's going to cost once we get there. We've done our due diligence. We've done some searches in our incognito or in private windows. So we have an idea about what we're going to spend, right? There's one more thing that you need to do. In the second half of this show, break down something that airlines don't like you doing. They don't want you to do. It'll come money. It'll save you money if you're willing to take on a little bit of risk and gamble just a little bit. So, have the show coming up. Don't go away. If you're just joining me, we're going to be talking about the basis of planning a trip this week on Travel with Branden here on IBM TV. Don't go anywhere. All right. I think we have our first video coming up.
Colombia, around Spain, having a great sunny day. Even if you want to travel domestically, from budget travel guides in New Orleans, New York, Paris, and London, to luxury travel guides and everything in between, travel can be so much fun and so much more affordable than you think. I hope you're having a great time watching me here live on IBM TV. I have a ton of fun making Travel Tuesdays Travel with Branden, and I hope you're having a lot of fun watching. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, swing by my YouTube channel. You can find my YouTube channel full of great travel tips, some travel hacks, some food recommendations, city guides, budget travel tips, and so much more. Subscribing on YouTube is free to do, and it helps support me and continue making great travel content for you to see. You can also visit me online at thebrandonscott.com, where you can get even more travel advice, some great links, and some in-depth breakdowns of trips I've taken and trips you can plan. It's a great way to find a little bit of inspiration for your next adventure and some travel tips. I've got cities both domestic and international that you can check out. Find the best places to eat, the best things to see, the best things to do, and how to do it all affordably. Whether you want to stay at Airbnbs or 5-star luxury hotels, there are great ways you can do all of those things on a budget. Swing by my YouTube channel, give that big red subscribe button some love, and don't forget to visit thebrandonscott.com for even more travel tips. From great photos in Paris, to awesome food in Spain, to wild adventures in Colombia. If you want to adventure and you want to see more, this is the place to do it. Now back to, I guess, live me on IBM TV. Enjoy Travel Tuesdays and Travel with Branden.
Look at that. And Kit's doing some free advertising for me, because if you didn't hear the first half of that video, I guess that means you'll have to go over to my YouTube channel and watch some content there to see what was happening in the first half of that little ad break there. So there you go. If you didn't catch it and you wanted to, that's the place to go do it. So in the second half here, I wanted to talk a little bit about my kind of favorite airline hack, my favorite airline hack of all time. It's a little risky, kind of gutsy, so maybe not something to do as a first-time traveler, but there's something cool you can do. And it's so magical that I don't know that there's a word for it. So I invented my own phrase, because I can do that, right? I don't know. I don't know who invents the English language, but just added a word. It's called airline hop, or I'm calling it airline hopping. So here's the drama. Are you ready? You better be ready for this. Some drama. You may be using a travel agent to book your travel right now. Your airline coordinate your flight for you. They're going a little bit of extra effort to figure out where you're flying from and to, and how many connecting flights and layovers there are in between, and working out all those gaps. Of course, there's computers doing it in algorithms, but you can save money by doing that legwork yourself. So airlining is something that's going to be a little dangerous, a little risky, but it can save you some serious. So let's talk about airline hopping. Here we go. I got my little PowerPoint ready. Look, it's back to school. And that back to school. Didn't you miss it? We all just miss high school so much. Not me. I'm peaking right now. So airline hopping, made up word. I just came up with it off the top of my head. It's now trademarked. It's a copyright. I've got it's a business card. You don't steal my words, or if you do, at least tag me in them on Instagram. So airline hopping. This is I don't know if this is legible. Might be kind of small. Well, I don't know. It looks okay to me. So airline hopping is when you go somewhere. And let's pick a city. Let's say we're flying from one big international city, right? Is where we want to go. We want to go to Paris. We want to go to Paris, and we're in, let's say, Cleveland. There's not really going to be any direct flights from Cleveland all the way to Paris. You're going to have a layover somewhere. New York, Boston, Norfolk, heck, Miami. I don't know why you would fly from Cleveland to Miami, but you might. So before we book this trip, we see what airlines are flying to each city, and we decide we're just going to do that connection part ourselves. So if you flight with a layover, if you say go to American Airlines website and you book your flight, you're going to find that they're planning your kind of connecting flight, and they're taking some liability there, because if your first flight is delayed or canceled, even though it might be a bit of a pain, they're going to be responsible for getting you onto another final destination and for your luggage and all of that. So if your first flight has a problem, the airline, because you all through them, will generally work with you. You rebook, you get to another connecting flight to make sure your luggage house, make sure you kind of get sorted there. So what if we took on some of this risk and we did that ourselves so that the airline wasn't responsible for it? It's a little more work, it's a little scary, but it can add up to some big savings. Now, let's do a little example. I was talking about Boston and Paris. So let's say we're booking a flight from Boston to Paris. We can flight on Norwegian, TAP Air Portugal, airlines that's going to be a budget airline, but pretty comfortable. We know we'll be okay. And I'm going to have a whole episode on airlines. So don't tweet at me about the airlines, which airline's my favorite. We're going to do a whole show on that. But there are lots of great alternative airlines to move from one place to another. See, Airline Hopping, they got the idea, commenting on the stream. It's the own IBM TV Facebook page. They're commenting on its own stream, just to make sure that the logo a little bit more. So we're gonna say go from Boston to Paris on our Tin and Pick'em Norwegian. I don't know. Now we need to get to Boston from Cleveland. So let's look and see who flies into Cleveland. Well, you can get some pretty cheap budget airline flights from Cleveland to Boston. Heck, you could even get an Amtrak from Cleveland to Boston for pretty cheap. A rental car from Cleveland to Boston, pretty cheap. But by yourself, you're taking on a lot of risk and oftentimes saving a lot of money. So let's first break down what this would look like, and then I'll get into the risks. So this is going to look like, well, it's going to look like, instead of me taking my American airline flight and them laying me over, I'm going to fly, say, Delta from Cleveland to Boston. I'm going to pay $200 for that flight. It's an expensive flight from Cleveland to Boston because I just decided it was. So we're now in Boston. We've booked now about 3 hours over yourself, about a 3-hour layover, another flight from Boston to Paris, and that was $400. So on all, which one was $200 for $600 flights from Cleveland to Paris. Booking that straight through an airline might easily cost you $900. Now here's the trick. You're taking on some serious risks. If you're going to do this, it means that each airline is only responsible for getting you to one destination. If your flight from Cleveland to Boston is late, or delayed, or canceled, you are. As far as the second airline is concerned, you just didn't show up for the flight. They don't care about a connection because they didn't arrange it. So you're out in the cold. The other hard thing is baggage, emotional baggage. You sad violin. We all have some. It's 2020. Everybody's feeling a little emotional. Sometimes you just need to cry yourself into a potatoes. But if you have baggage and you're flying, you're going to have to also recheck your bag. The airline's not going to do it for you if you're airline hopping. That means once you land in Boston from your Cleveland to Boston flight, you're going to go out through security, pick up your bag, check your bag back in, and then go back through security. So you're leaving yourself enough time to do that. Now, if you're like me, you know how to kind of breeze through some of this. You've been in and out of a million times. You've been detained. You've been not detained. They like you. They don't like you. You have an idea of how long it's going to take. If you to travel, give yourself a lot of time, like 4 to 6 hours. It sounds like a lot. But by the time you go out of security, back through security, and get yourself something to eat, it's not going to be very long at all. And it gives you a little bit of time for delays. Now, another trick, if you're going to do this internationally, it's going to mean customs, immigration. So maybe best to do this when you're hopping around the United States before you go overseas, or when you're hopping around Europe before you come back, and not in that in-between time. I'm going to give you a little story, a little example. A year and a half. Has it been a year and a half? It feels like it's been a year and a half since March. Down, quarantine. Now I'm in Florida. We got hurricanes all over the place. It feels like it's been just 50 years. It feels like it's been forever, but not the point. See, we got to be careful. We're going to go down that emotional baggage route. We're talking about literal baggage. We're talking about the kind of idea of this airline hopping. If you're just joining the live stream, the basic idea being that instead of booking through one airline carrier, flight with layovers or multiple layovers. If you saw earlier in the stream, I pulled up a flight to, I think, Colombia that had like 3 layovers. It's a lot of layovers. The airline's coordinating all that for you, so they're going to charge you a little bit more because they're able for you and your baggage and all your connections. So we're talking about doing that ourselves, doing our own little dealio, booking our own connections. So when a year and a half ago, about years ago now, was flying. Where was I? Where in the world was Carmen San Diego? London. Maybe I was in London. It might have been like Exeter. I don't know. Somewhere in the UK. And I needed to get back to the States. I was flying into, I think, Chicago. And from London to Chicago were crazy expensive. It was winter, I think, after all, but still crazy expensive to fly from London to Chicago. So I thought, let's get creative. What can we do to save a little bit of money? In my case, I airline car hopped. I flew from London to Boston, and in Boston, I was able to rent a Mustang at the airport, drive my little 8 hours, 10 hours back where I needed to be. And I think I stayed at a hotel overnight on the drive. All cost less than if I had flown from London to go with a layover. Less. So we're at the business of planning our trip. In the first half of the show, we talked about some tools you can use, some great websites you can use. Now we've talked about some airline hopping tricks. We've talked about some idea of moving from one airline to another, booking your own connection. Let me show you another website and kind of put this example for you. So, other website. This is not just Skyscanner's great. I've literally planned entire vacations using nothing but Skyscanner, using that to get information, using that to get ideas of where I want to go, using an idea of budget, and I think I booked every single from Skyscanner. But there's another great one called Momondo. Momondo. Isn't that a great name for a website? Momondo. Y'all ever like ASMR YouTube videos? They get real microphone and they talk like this. Momondo. I feel like that's all they should say. Momondo, it's a similar to Skyscanner website. It's a booking.com property. So they work .com, combining them with hotels, combining them with other packages and vacation-y things. Stay away from the packages for now. We can get into that in a whole nother episode. Same idea. This guy Bando, because it doesn't like Tampa. We're gonna put back Tampa, Florida to I can't decide where to go. Let's go everywhere. Let's look at I don't know, whenever. So we're gonna pick more or less. Let's pick plus or minus 3 days. This is the great tool. So unlike Skyscanner, there's not a every month button or a cheapest month button. It lets you kind of ballpark it, right? So we're going to say plus or minus 3 days in December, and plus or minus 3 days. We're gonna have a, I don't know, a little less than a week there vacation. When we search for Tampa to anywhere, plus or minus 3 days, it's going to give us this nice little cozy idea of where we can go. So I did pick December, not too far out. It's giving us a lot of domestic locations, which is great. You can kind of play around here. You can kind of say, let's look. So I want to fly. Oh, look, where's this? Guatemala City for $216. I can go to this little island. What was that little island? I can go to Santa Cruz das Flores for about $800. Oh, look, Spain. We're going to go to Spain. I miss Spain. I was in Spain when the hit. Had to be evacuated back to the States. That video's on my YouTube channel. If you want a heck of a story, you should go watch it. $500 to go to Madrid in December. Well, not a bad time to go to Spain, really. But this tool is like Skyscanner in that it kind of gives you a nice sense of places you could go and prices. Definitely a little more hipster. You got a fancy little map. Now, like I said in the first half of the episode, we picked our place we're going to go. We're going to look at our prices. We're going to get a sense of the Airbnbs. We're going to get a sense of the hotel. How much did this there? So we're just kind of real quickly, we're scrolling through. We're going to say, oh, look, American Airlines. I've got rewards with them. We're going to book our flight here for, it just jumped up. Look at that. You know why? Uh-oh. I'm firing myself. I'm not in a private browser. Oh no. So prices are going to go up every time. We're smarter than myself. And I listened to what I said. I'm in a private browser right now. But we pick whatever. We found a flight. $21. Perfect. American Airlines. So we're flying into Miami. Well, hang on a second. Miami's not that far from me. So maybe we can find a flight a little bit cheaper. And let's go to Miami. So we're going to do this the simple way. So this is $251. Everybody remember that. And when I forget in 15 minutes, $251. Right? Deal? Here we go. So I'm going to now switch over to Oh, I can't do two screens at once. Oh, okay. Here we go. We're going to try this again. So $251. We found our flight. Now we're just going to go to a basic flight search app. My least favorite of all time. I hate it. I hate this flight search website. Here we go. You're going to love this. All the audience are going to go, oh no, not doing that. We're going to go to Google Flights. Awful. I know. But we're just going to Miami in December from Tampa. Out of our trip. Now, let's take a little peek-a-doo here. I don't remember my exact dates. I think it was the 5th through the 9th. That sounds about right. And we're going just to Miami. Anywhere in Miami. Look at that. $75. $75 on American and $75 on Spirit. And an American, I get a bag. So $75 to get to Miami. Now let's see, where was this I was going? We're going from Miami to, what was the specific airport? I think was San Jose, right? 107. Okay, so we're not quite there, but we're getting closer. And you can play around with this. So you want to kind of look at your other websites, look at your other search apps, and think, yeah, okay, book it all. Or I could split it up. Maybe spend a day in Miami and make a little session over it. I go spend 2 days in Miami and have a little bender. Hey, it's Miami. Ooh, look out. Or maybe I just want my 2-hour layover in the airport and I'm going to go right. So now we've kind of combined a couple of key places to kind of look here. So we've looked on Skyscanner, we've looked on Momondo, we found a flight that works. Now we're going to start looking elsewhere. Do you get the idea? Do you get what I'm saying? A little bit of legwork here. A little bit of A little bit of sit in your chair and tippity tap tap. Here we go. Find your flight that works. We can find. Oh my gosh, look at this. This goes all the way up to $200. But we know that we can find an airline flight to a destination, and then if we're willing to do a little bit of legwork, we can find a cheaper flight because we're taking the risk of losing our stuff on the layover or losing ourself on the layover. These kind of tools, Momondo, Scanner, things like that, are going to give you some great deals. I'd say 7 times out of you're not going to be able to find a better deal on your own, but you might be. And you might be able to save some money that way. There are always promotions going on for different tourism boards. So a great kind of side note story example here is when I was flying to, I think I was flying to Paris, Portugal gave me like, I don't know, $3 off my flight to have a 24-hour layover in Portugal. I think it was New York to Paris. Because some board wouldn't promote their city. Because if you take the 24-hour layover, you're going to go out and see some of their city. I didn't. I just slept in the airport for most of it. But you can save some money that way. It's the basis of travel. And this is what we're going to kind of get into over the next couple of episodes. We're going to start to really dig into planning your trip and really get into some kind of gritty details. But this is our overview. The 3 key things that were taken away from this first hour here on Travel Tuesdays. There are 3 key things. First, flexibility. Second, flexibility. And third, say it with me, everybody, flexibility. No, 3 key things in all seriousness. Knowing that we can do a little bit of research on our own with the right tools, and that's why you got me. You're coming back week after week, not just for this beautiful face, but we're going to share some more tools, some more sky scanners, some more Momondos, some more other fun websites you can look at. You've got the right tools to find idea of travel. We're planning trip first, not destination first. We know we want to take a trip, a 2-week trip, let's say. Let's look at multiple destinations. Too fixated yet on one destination. Look at a couple. We've got the right tools. We're looking at it not based on destination, but on the trip. And we know if we do a little bit of legwork, we can save some money. A little bit of risk. You might be going through some challenging times. You might be running through the airport a little bit if you don't do it smart the first time. But you can hop from one airline to another. And yep, flight's delayed. Even if your flight's delayed, it's still going to work, right? That's why you leave yourself time. So if your flight's delayed, if your it's lost, you might have some problems. But what do you put in your bag? It saved you a few $100s. Or when we get into the episode where we talk about packing, talk a lot about what to put in your carry-on, what to put in your checked bag, how to save some money there. So that way you maybe don't risk a checked bag. But a checked bag, you've got that risk. So leave yourself a couple hours. Leave yourself a little extra time. The first time you do this, leave yourself like 3 hours. That'll give you some time to go through security, use the bathroom, recheck your bag, go back through security. Comfortable, easy. Makes it much, much, much easier the first time you to leave yourself a few hours before you have to kind of run around like a crazy person. Once you become a seasoned traveler, when you know you're a professional traveler is when you're running through the airport full speed to get to your gate because you think your flight is just about to take off, and you realize, in fact, that your flight doesn't take off for like 4 hours. You're thinking at the time that tomorrow's flight leaves. That's how you know you're a professional traveler. You've got too many flights. So yeah, USA to India, 59 round trip. Not a bad deal. Now, taking that price, which you see when you list one website, let's break that down. What if we flew somewhere else first? Great example of this. If I wanted to fly from here to, say, Bali, I think, oh, I need to, fly from here, look out LA, maybe, and fly that way, fly west. Well, what if you flew east and made that a trip? So maybe instead you fly to Dubai and spend extra days there just to see Dubai, to fly over to Bali. Might be a lot cheaper for you. A little creatively when you're looking at booking these flights. That's really the key. Sometimes it comes down to simple things, really simple things like, boy, maybe instead of flying into Chicago, I'll fly into Detroit and then just take an Amtrak over. That might save some money. Maybe I know that I'm in Tampa. Tampa Airport is a major international hub. It's not. Maybe I think, well, you know what if I just pop up to Atlanta, take a train, have a friend drive me up, make a little road trip out of it. Getting a flight out of Atlanta is going to be way cheaper to a lot of places. This is when you start to think creatively about booking your travel. So the key here really in all of this, the thing that I'm ultimately saying in this episode that I want you to take away is that if you don't book your trip quite yet, but come back week after week, it's called promo. Come back week after week and step you through how to plan a trip and how to do it in a really effective and affordable way, but still have the 5-star experience, still have a great trip in beautiful places, in beautiful hotels, very comfortable vacation without having to spend a ton of money. Now, that's the kind of the goal here. So our first episode, we've now covered in our first stream, basic planning principles of booking an international vacation. We've looked at a couple of interesting tools. We've looked at Skyscanner. We've looked at Momondo. There are other great tools that I'll be showing you in the coming weeks. But now that you've seen some of these tools, you're starting to get a sense of how can I be creative? How can I look at alternative cities? Maybe popping around on an airline to another airline. Maybe I don't want to take a flight, I don't know, New York to wherever. Maybe I really don't want to be on a budget airplane for 6 hours, but I could be on a budget airplane for 2. So maybe my first flight in the United States from here to there, I'll take that Frontier flight or that Spirit Airline flight. I'll do the thing, and then I'll have a little bit more money to spend on my comfortable flight from my 2 major long haul cities. So this is the creative thinking we're going to get into. We're going to spend the next few weeks breaking down basics of travel, the basics of thinking creatively. This week was all about flights, all about airline hopping. It was all about showing you a couple of tools you can use while you're looking for flights to get inspiration. But the key thing to take away is we're not planning based on the destination. We're planning based on a trip. Think of it as, I want to take a vacation, not a vacation to here. If you're just not tuning in, we're wrapping up here on Travel Tuesdays, Travel with Branden. Now, in the next episode, the next week here, we're going to really start to break down some key, interesting, nitty-gritty details when it comes to flying. There are some great tricks you can use at the airport, while you're to the airport, when you're going through security, when you're on the plane. Save some money. And I'm going to give you one freebie, but you have to promise, hey, pinky promise. You're coming back next week, and we're gonna talk some more. But I'm gonna give you one freebie trick. Did you know? I'm gonna blow your mind. Are you ready? Everyone, gather around the campfire, children. Gather around. I'm gonna give you freebie trick. Did you know that those little mini alcohol bottles that you get at the liquor store, you can take them through security? Most of them are going to be under your ounces limit, under your liquid. So goodbye, $12 cocktail on a plane. Hello, free soda. and my own little mini liquor bottle. There's the freebie tip. Now, next, when you come back, we're going to have a great time. We're going to break down a little bit more, some interesting tips and tricks when it comes to the actual flight process, because that seems to be the big stumbling point for people. So we're going to really break down more of how to flight, how you use your Scope travel bottle. You got that right. You use that Scope travel bottle. You can use any of the. Listen, people go to concerts and put booze in shampoo bottles, so you don't have to go that far. You can just get the liquor ones, and there you go. Boom, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Bloody Mary in the sky. We're gonna really break down next week. We're gonna really step through some key tricks in the airport, on the plane, during your flight travel day, and make flights seem a little less scary, a little less expensive, and a little more accessible for everyone. So that's the goal next week. In the meantime, hop on over to my YouTube channel. I'm on at Branden Scott Stewart. You can find all sorts of videos, city guides. We've got budget guides. I've got just all sorts of stuff over there for you to go watch. If you want to read a real good breakdown, I've got a detailed guide of how to take a 2-week vacation in Europe for less than $200 a day, less than a day at Disney World. It's my website, which is thebrandonscott.com. If you hop on over there, you can read the detailed breakdown of every single dollar spent, because that's what I do. I take experimental trips and vacations and document everything so you can read about it online at thebrandonscott.com and figure out how to do it yourself, how to travel yourself, have fun while doing it. So check out those things. In the meantime, stop by next week for some more freebies. You never know. We'll find another great Mamando, another great word or phrase to say. Who knows? Who knows what I'll come up with next? But it's always a good time. In the meantime, too, if you have any feedback, if you're watching the stream live or after the fact, feel free to tweet at me. Am I too quiet? Am I enunciating too much? Listen, am I slurring my words? You never know. YouTube haters, the live stream haters are out there. Tweet at me. So long as you also follow me on Twitter or whatever, we're good. tweet your hate. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we've got some big things planned. So I will see you here, Travel Tuesdays on IBM TV. My name's Branden, and thank you so much for watching. Now, I'm not sure what we're on to next on IBM TV because I have not been keeping track of the schedule. A post, but we're going to throw it back to Ankit and the team here to take on some other great tip and challenge them when they start their next show here over the next hour to find something better than Mamando. Wow, doesn't that sound like, who's that guy with the long hair? Not Don Juan. What's his name? Who's in the shampoo commercials? Kimberly, you know his name. The guy at the shampoo commercials with the long hair, the Casanova-like guy. Fabio? That's what I'm going to say, Fabio. I feel like that's something Fabio would say.
You have asked the wrong person. I'm a geek. So you've actually asked the wrong person, but I got it right. Yay.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I assume so.
No, you got it right, Kim.
So,
Fabio.
we've got Branden on